Morning, everyone. Welcome back to How to CAD Almost. I'm actually in session 6. My goodness, this is actually not what I would want to. That is what a disgrace. I should be in session 7. I guess it's Monday morning, right? Like that. Now, yes. Welcome to session 7 of How to CAD Almost Anything. I will be doing Lego blocks again today. But we're gonna do something a lot more exciting. So this is week 3. We've been surviving a lot. I think we've been learning a lot, all of us together. And I think that what's coming up today might be something extremely useful, especially if you can leverage some of those things. So right going into the topics, I want to teach you how to do equations in SolidWorks and how to use something that's called design table, which is integrating Excel sheets into SolidWorks. It's actually super simple, like nothing too fancy, honestly. And just to give you a motivation, well, actually, before anything, any questions that you guys might have in your mind? Well, probably when we start reviewing, as usual, you guys might have a question or two, right? But to give an idea, today's activities involved, I will hope to make screwdrivers and the drones. Maybe the drones I might shift it a little bit to make a little helicopter model instead. But what if just from a single model, just a single part, you could make all 6 screwdrivers, right? So let me just go straight to SolidWorks because I don't wanna preview anything. I wanna show you directly how this would look like. I go here to SolidWorks. I'm gonna open in here a part that I just downloaded, which is, let's see if I have the drone. There we go. So I created this yesterday evening. I'm very happy with the result. It's already up in the website. It's not difficult at all. Now, what am I saying? This is a single part, right? So I'm gonna go here to where it says property manager. I'm gonna teach you all of this stuff in a moment, right? But let me go to one of the configurations. So this one has same like that one, but it just has 4 blades in there. This one, this stuff is longer. This configuration, it actually has only 4. And this configuration, what does it have? It has 4 and like 6 blades, right? So same part, just different configurations of the same thing. And then I can go back to what I call the default, which is this one. Looks pretty cool, right? It's not very difficult to do. And then we could do, let me open instead the screwdriver, right? Which is something that we're gonna learn how to do today. So this is one version of the screwdriver. But then I can go to configuration 1, which is a shorter one, and actually the face is different. Let's see, configuration 2, it's just a little bit longer. 3, like that, the face is different too. It has like that little structure. Configuration 4, it's that again. So again, just something very useful, and the magic behind all of this, I can show you. It's in this stuff that's called tables, right? And that's what we're gonna create. So if I go here to the little triangle and I say edit table, just to give you a preview, right, of how this will look like. It just takes a second until this loads. Let's just wait. Let me stop sharing my screen for a moment. Just 1 second. Actually, I think, would I give you if I actually use that? So I may need to use this one when I put it remotely to this one. I'm sorry, but apparently the computer that I was logged in SolidWorks doesn't have Excel, I believe, but these ones do. So just in the meantime, just log you guys into SolidWorks, and yeah, nothing too fancy. Let me just, I'm just gonna go back here to remote desktop. I'm gonna connect myself back again to, let me try this one. Just 1 second. I'll start sharing my screen. Well, you guys can see it. There we go. Let me share my screen in Zoom once again. Here we go. Let me just join SolidWorks. This is pretty cool, by the way. Like, I was able to use this computer in particular, number 3, this weekend. I just asked them upstairs if they have remote desktop stuff, so that's something you guys can use after the hours of this lab, which is a lifesaver because honestly, and I can show you. Well, actually, I can show you what I was cutting yesterday evening if you guys are curious. One second, let's see if it opens. I was cutting this guy. But this is a preview. This is a preview for Wednesday. And don't worry about this. Let me open. These are screwdrivers. There we go. So now, yes, if I go here to tables and I right click in tables, I go there to edit table. Now, gonna just wait for a second, but it's gonna open up an Excel right here in SolidWorks, and it's telling me, all right, these are like the sorts of things that I'm modifying. Let's give it a second until it loads. Okay, doesn't matter. And you can see that this table has absolutely every single dimension that we have in our part. So it's something like pretty cool, right? Like I would, I would imagine like Excel being part of SolidWorks. So let's get started, right? Let's open a new part. And I think just to do an easy example, we're gonna design like a nut. Like a nut, right? Like that you would use. So let's try designing something like that. So I'm gonna go here to sketch, and I'm gonna go. Actually, before we do that, I'm gonna go here to insert. Actually, to tools. Just tools in there. Then just go down to equations. And here in equations, I'm gonna touch right. So a nut, right? The nut is like a hexagon, right? Or it's a polygon, and then it has a diameter. I guess so. One variable could be number of sides. So when you go number of sides, so type something like that, and I'm gonna click here 5, and then I just click enter. So if you guys remember how I got in here, I clicked on tools, and then on tools I went down to equations. Then I guess another variable for a nut could be like the diameter. I'm gonna call it diameter, and I'll say I call it 0.5. We're gonna click OK. And I guess another variable that we could have for our nut could be the height of the nut. So let's call this height. And I'll make this one 0.5 for now. Don't worry about it. And then once you're happy, just click outside. I can remove this in here. I click OK. So to go back to equations, you click here in tools. You go down to tools, equations. Down there. And you'll see that now in your main menu, you have a little folder over here that's called equations. So you can literally, and you can see them appearing right there. And I can right click there and go to manage equations, and you have them. So you can continue adding, you can modify values. So hopefully, were you guys able to create those free variables in there and give some values? Okay, good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start a sketch, and I'll go here to top plane, and I'm gonna choose the polygon, and I'll make a side like this. Now, if you go to parameters, right, you're able to click the. Let me see if it allows me. Actually, I'm gonna do it differently. In this case, never mind the polygon. Let's draw a circle for now. There we go, like that, and I'm gonna make it a construction geometry. And now what I'm gonna do is a center line that goes like this. And now another center line that goes like that. There we go. So hopefully you can draw a circle like this. This is a circle that is a center line. So the first thing I can do is if I go to Smart Dimension, I can click on Smart Dimension, and instead of writing a number, you write the equal sign, and then you click on Global Variables, and I'm gonna click on Diameter. So now you see that this sigma symbol appears in there. And what this means is that now that variable is referenced it's mentioned as a variable, right? That is defined as an equation. And now in here for the angle, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna define it as equal to 360 over, actually I'm gonna go here to global variables. I'll bring number of sides, and I'll say 360 over number of sides. And you have to, it's important that you do the equal sign. And now I can click I can just do a little line that goes like that, and then a little circular pattern of all of these lines, and I can say in here I also want oh actually that's gonna be, let me see. Um Actually what I could do is I can just let me just get rid of, don't worry about the circular pattern. I'm just gonna finish the sketch. There we go. And I'm gonna just exit for now. So hopefully you guys were able to do it. Let me just show you again. So I clicked on the diameter like I did here, and then, yeah, it doesn't matter, okay. And then I clicked on, actually I should, let me delete this so I can show you properly. And I clicked on the equal sign, and when you click on equal, you can select the global variable of interest. So in this case, it was the diameter one. I said, okay. Wait, let me do it again. Global variables, diameter, there we go. So you know that it's been referenced if it has the sigma sign. I'm gonna say exit for now. Okay, good. So now the next thing I want to do is I'm gonna start another sketch that's gonna be on the front plane. I call that a sketch. And then I'm gonna do a nice little center line that goes all the way from here, just like that. And then I'm gonna dimension this as equal to now height. And say, okay, good, and I can exit the sketch. And the reason why I'm doing that is because now I can go here to features, then reference geometry plane, and I can create a plane that is right over there. Boom. So what is the purpose about doing all of this is that now I can go here to, well, I can actually, yeah, I can leave it like that. I can now go here to extrude, and I'll select like this sketch in here, and I can do up to surface, and I'll do up to plane one, and I'll say, okay, good. I'm gonna hide this. And now that I have this, then I can do a little circular pattern, and I'm gonna do it, the direction is gonna be along that edge. The features is gonna be this stuff. Then I'll do equal spacing. I can say for 60, doesn't matter. And then in here, I believe it should allow me, yes, global variables, and I'll say I want number of sides 5. So you can see that now we created like the nut, right? And then I can do, for instance, I can do another sketch here on the top. And I can say that I want this diameter to be, I'll say equal global variables diameter times 0.8. Actually, that might be too big, so maybe times 0.6. There we go. Okay, good. And then I can extrude all the way downwards through what? Oh, I think there we go. All right, so any questions up to this point? Were you guys able to create this little simple geometry? I can start going around. Excellently. Okay, so now you've created this. Go to where it says here to insert up there, and then tables. So insert tables, and then in tables you click Excel design table, and you go just create it like that. And it's gonna ask you, yes, do you want to bring all of the dimensions, and select all of them and say okay. So now let me increase the size of my design table. Oh, well, now it disappeared. That's good. I got to go back to the table. I just click in configuration manager, and I can go to this little triangle and say edit table. So now, yeah, it doesn't matter. I just want to go to here. Very good. So now I'm gonna highlight all of that row and do Control Z, and I'm gonna create maybe 4 configurations, right? So here I can click, I can call this config 1, this config 2, this config 3, this config 4. So do something that is approximately like that, right? And now type the following command, which is $, then value, and then one of our variables was diameter, right? So I can say diameter at equations. So that's one thing that I'm gonna type. Then another one is $, value at, and then the one was number of sides at equations. Very good. And the other one that I'm gonna type is $, value at what was the other one? Height at equations. Well, so now I'm gonna exit that, and you'll see that now there's a little box that's gonna appear that says for configurations. Yeah, I'll show you. So go here to insert tables, and then now I already have one. That's what does not allow me, but you will click on Excel design tables, and to edit it. So right now you would be there, but to go to your table, I mean, it will pop up, right? But if you exit it, you can always come back to it here. And you can see now I created, after doing the copy paste of the rows, I created 4 configurations. So let me go back to my table in here, and hopefully it's gonna show up, and hopefully you type those 3 in there. $, value, diameter at the equation, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the hyperlink because I don't want it. That's fine. And then in here, so we got our default configuration plus 4 configs, right? So this one is this one diameter, right? So I can say I want the diameter of this one to be 7. I want the diameter of this one to be 1.5. Just type random numbers, right? This is for illustrative purposes. I want the diameter here to be 2. Then number of sides, I want this to be 7. This one to be 20. This one to be 8. Hopefully we did the math correctly, right? And I'm gonna create 8, then 3, then 2, and then 1, right? So I can now exit, and hopefully let's see. If I go to config 1, how will this change? All right, it got bigger. That's good. I think that was one of the things we changed. Let's see config 2 what happens. All right, now it has 7 sides and it gets even bigger. Config 3, smaller, and then config 4, probably an error because it might be computationally. Let's see. Let me just go back to the table. Oh, maybe I'm gonna make the diameter a little bit bigger. I made the number of sides be equal to 20. There we go. So now it works. So you see, again, from a singular part, we're able to create 4 different ones. Question. Oh, that's not like one thing, that's an excellent point, right? One thing is that in your design tables, right? Let me go back to edit all of this. Like one thing that I can do to simplify my life is I can get rid of all of this stuff. Like I don't need it. Like let me see if I can delete entire column. Let's see. Good. I can just leave this stuff and it doesn't matter because the design table in here is just for the different configurations, just to change the variables of interest. And that's why, because when you go back to here, there's gonna be all sorts of, because by clicking manage equations, right? You can see I've used it in my case in 5 different cases, right? So again, to do this, I clicked in equations, manage equations, and you can see where I'm using it. So SolidWorks is already smart enough to know like how we are using these different variables. So then the only thing that I want to change is when I'm in the configuration, right? Again, edit table, just changing our variables of interest, which in this case correspond to the free one. Yeah, I don't want to include them, that's fine. Which in this case corresponds to all of these. So again, remember the syntax in here is $sign value at the name of your variable at equations. Why is it like that? I don't know. It's been like this for the last 5 years that I've been using the software when I first learned it. So I'll go around and give it a shot, creating, say, 4 different configurations, because now that we've done the nut, we're going to do a slightly more difficult geometry, which is the screwdriver, which is our next step. Hopefully it's not going to be too difficult. So I just want to make sure that we have this understood. Or the syntax, when you put the equal value, if you're manually typing it, it has that little, I'm not sure how you say that in English. Maybe you guys can help me, but it has, I guess, an apostrophe. I have no idea what that is called. That's why it's written like that. Just for you guys to, here, look. This bad boy. Can you see it? So type that before the equal sign. For each one of the for the variables. Okay. When you're putting values over here. Oh, you did it. Okay. Can we finish meta property? Maybe a good or right here. Maybe look more like that. Or maybe if you want to try that concept to make rather than that the screw. For something that might be very screw. All right, how are we feeling? Can I continue with the screwdrivers in here? Good, more. At least this is just a warm up to see like what this concept is about. So now we'll start doing something a little bit more interesting. So I'm gonna exit that. So yeah, we got the nut, but nothing too fancy. Even though if you do go to a website, for instance, like, and I can find it here, you can go to McMaster, right? In here, which I was showing some of the folks, and you go to nuts. There's a hex nuts. I can choose one for like a 164. Actually, 164 is it's too tiny. Let's see a 440. Hopefully, you guys will encounter all of this stuff many times in your life. You see like how there's all sorts of different models that they have in here. I can say, I just want this. Look at this, right? All of the different sizes. So they just make a singular part. They just edit the dimensions in the way that we would by making a design table. So that's, at least an application of how this would work in industry. But let's do a screwdriver. So I'm going to start making a new part. Probably this will take, between answer questions and whatnot, like 40 minutes. And then we can try doing a little helicopter as well to practice all of these things. So first things first, let's go here to tools and then to equations. So I'm going to ask the crowd, what could be some appropriate equations for a screwdriver? What do you think are things that we could change? Yeah, we can call it like the length, right, of the thing. And we can just as a placeholder put a 2 in there, because why not? Oh, actually, let me go back to equations. Well, what other variable could be? What about the handle diameter? That could also change a little bit. I can say diameter, and I can make it maybe 2 as well. And I'm thinking, yeah, I think let's do those 2 for now. I think not to complicate our lives too much. I'll say, okay, good. So that being said, I'm gonna start doing a sketch here in the front plane. Again, just to revise, to create your first set of equations, I went here to tools, equations, so tool, equations, and you can also see them afterwards there. Manage equations, and very good. All right, so I'm gonna go here to sketch, front plane, and I'm gonna start creating something that might be the handle. So let's start drawing, a little bit. You see, I'm not screwdriver engineer, but I've used many in the past, so maybe hopefully this might be useful. So we'll see. Just doing a bunch of lines here. This one you don't need to strictly follow what I'm doing. You could be creative in your own ways. I'm just more or less here playing around with some designs, and I'm gonna say, all right, I'm gonna make that be equal to global variables diameter divided by 2. Very good. And now I'm gonna click on maybe this part in here, control this part in there, and I'm gonna make those two equal. Then I can make the handle height be like 2. And I would like that, maybe a little bit more, maybe. There we go. I can leave that in there, very good. And then I go here to features and then do a revolve. But I want our axis to be this over here. You see, I'm not very happy with that equation. So I can go back here to manage equation and I can say that I want the diameter to actually be 0.75. And I can say, okay, so you can see how it dynamically changes a lot. Yeah, that looks about right. Maybe I can just go back here, edit this, let's say that I want that to be 2. There we go. And then we can add a couple of details, right, to make this look like fancy, more like a screwdriver. For instance, in my model, I did the one that I designed, that I put on the website, I did a little hole in here. And I said that I wanted that to be equal to the diameter times 0.8. And then I can do a little extrusion. Okay. Yeah, 0.1 is fine. Why not? And then I can do a little fillet both in the top, both in the bottom of 0.05. Hopefully making a geometry like this one, it's not very challenging at this point. Now, before I start moving around, just because I want to have a little fun, I want to make a plane that is 1 inch from here. And you know how some screwdrivers, if you look, let's Google some screwdrivers, right? Let me do, let me work here. So I can go screwdrivers. Here do images, I can do handle. You know that some of them, like, well, let's see, maybe like this one, right? Has like a little bit of texture around it, right? You know, it's like made out of rubber, and it has like all of those dots. What if we made something like that in ours too? So how would you do that? Actually, it's very simple. We go here to our friend, the plane one, and suppose I'm gonna make a little center line. It goes like this. So how did I create this plane? Just to go back there, I went to front plane, and then on features, I clicked on reference geometry plane, and I say that I want to offset it by 1 inch. So that's how plane one came to be. But I'm gonna go back to the sketch that I started on plane one. I can do a little circle of sorts in there. We can make that 0.05. And I'm gonna make the height in here 0.1. And now I can do a little linear pattern. So I'm gonna choose here, yes, that is the line. And I want to entities to pattern, do this circle. I'm gonna say that I want 20 of these. Let's see how tall that takes me. Maybe 19, 18, let's do 18. Okay, I'll say okay. And I'm being lazy to actually, I can do it. I can do it better. Let's fully define everything. So I'm gonna choose that entities to pattern both this and the line. No, I want let me just clear selections here. There we go. I'm gonna pattern those two. And in here, yes, I'm gonna make 19, as I said. Very good. I click OK. Didn't do it. Then I'm just gonna, I'll do it the way, I'll do it the way I was doing it before. I don't know. And then I can do something like this, and then I can select, I can do another, I guess, center line. Let's call that 0.2. And then I can do a little linear pattern of, and let me clear here. I'm gonna choose along that direction. An entity to pattern all of this stuff. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Very good. And I want a pattern, let's see, let's do 3. That sounds about right. Maybe 4. I'm feeling generous. And then I can do a mirror. Let's see, mirror entities. Let's see if I can select. There we go. A mirror about that line. Hopefully it doesn't crash. There we go. Boom. I'm just gonna exit my sketch, and we're gonna use our good old friend, the wrap command. So I can click on wrap, then click on that sketch, and I can say I want it around this surface in here. Very good. Maybe I might get rid of the top circles. And I can say that I want 0.1 outwards. Let's see what this did. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna actually make it a lot smaller. Let's see now. There we go. All right, that looks like a legit, grip for this thing. I'm gonna click hide. And I'm gonna go back to this sketch, and I'm gonna get rid of at least these circles in here because I don't. Actually, what I could do is I can make them construction geometries. Exit. Actually, good. Yeah, that sounds about right. What about here? Yeah, I'll leave it like that. Okay, so now let's see whether the mirroring tool wants to collaborate today. So we're gonna use that front plane, and I can say mirror, and I wanna mirror that wrap, and say okay. And let's see, you're working through it very good. Well, I guess there we go. Excellent. Yeah, so we got our, so let's see if you guys can reach this point for now. Try giving it that way we can practice a little bit the wrap command. And one thing I'll do with this stuff is I'm gonna change the material properties. I'm gonna right click on this and go to body. And I'm gonna make this out of rubber. So I'm gonna go to rubber. Let's see, choose this bad boy. And then for the little circles, I can go here to wrap, and I'm gonna make these orange. And then in terms of, and I'm gonna color all of these faces, maybe a different type of gray. And why not I could do also a little chamfer here. And I'm gonna color that face as well. Whatever gray I used, which I believe is that one. This looks sleek. It's like a nice design. Anyway, there's one thing if you want to be very, very extra, which I'm not gonna do, but you could try is that, yes, these circles look nice, but they would look nicer if they were all filleted by some amount. So I could say, oh, that would look a lot nicer. Well, that would mean me going through a ton of circles and the software would crash. So I'm just gonna leave it like this. Um, just to get a little bit myself ahead of the game, I'm gonna create now a plane. Well, I'm not gonna create, I'm gonna do a sketch on this plane, right, which cuts this in half. And I'm gonna convert entities, this line in there. I'll say, yeah, construction geometry. And then I'm gonna do a center line that goes all the way to the top like this. Very good. And I'm gonna make this center line be dimension equal to the length. I'll say, okay, exit. And then I can do a sketching here. Maybe I can make that circle be 0.2. Point 15. I can say that I want the height to go all the way up to vertex actually. I want just that vertex there. So again, I created for the next step, right? For those of you that reach this step is to create on a plane in the front plane, right? Which chops this in half. Create just a sketch, which in this case is sketch 4, which is just a line that goes all the way from the middle to the top by the amount that you want to extend the, how you call it, like the arm of the screwdriver. And then you make a boss extrude where the command that you're using is the one that's called up to vertex because I'm selecting that point over there. And I can hide this sketch, but I don't need it. And I'm gonna make that aluminium because I like aluminium. There we go. So slowly starting to look like a screwdriver here. I'm gonna, I don't need to save this. I'm gonna continue now doing something more interesting, right? Because we reached this point, but I don't wanna only have configurations that I showed you before of different lengths. I wanna have like the head of the screwdriver be different. So how do you do that? Let's do it. So I'm gonna go here to sketch, and I click here. Actually, no, wait, hold on. I'm gonna do a little plane of the top face there, right? And I want the distance in here to be 0.3. Let's see. Yeah, that seems fine. I say, okay, good. And then I want to click on sketch, and then I'm gonna do a little center rectangle. That's gonna be this long. So I made my circle in here, I believe 0.15. So I'm gonna make this also 0.15. That way it matches, and I'll make that length 0.01. Good. Exit sketch. So now we're gonna go back to our friend the loft. So I can go here to loft, click in that face in there, and boom, it makes a flathead screwdriver. And I can also make that aluminum. Very good. I can hide here. Very nice. So now you make so you made one head, right? So now we have, I guess, this actually even better, right? Let me delete this for a moment. Let me do a sketch along the right plane because I'm not very satisfied with how that looks. So I can do convert entities. I can convert that and I can convert that and say, okay. And I'm gonna right click on that line and make it a center line. And right click on that line, make it a center line. And now we can draw a good old spline that goes, maybe I'll make it 3 points. There we go, something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. We do control piers, make a center line. That goes from here to there, and make those two perpendicular, and make that and that be tangent. There we go. Oh, there, I got smart dimension that. Good. Now, yes, now I am satisfied with this. And now I'm gonna do another sketch on the same plane, which was the right plane sketch. And I'm gonna make a center line that goes from here to there, it doesn't matter. And click on the point, control here, pierce. Actually, pierce doesn't work, so I'm gonna use coincident. There we go. And now I can do convert entities. I'm gonna convert entities there. Very nice. And then I'll do a mirror of this stuff along here. Good. And now I'm gonna make that into construction geometry. Great. So why all the effort to do this stuff? Because now I'm gonna go back to features and I'm gonna make the same loft that I just did. Is now it's gonna look a lot better because I'm gonna use these two guiding curves. And now we have ourselves a proper flathead screwdriver. There we go. Ah, now we're talking business. Let's make that loft. There we go. So why don't you guys give the head a shot? Something along those lines before we start overcomplicating our lives. Well, now let's continue. So hopefully you reach this point. Otherwise, I'll continue going around in just a moment. But the reality is that hopefully after doing something like this, what we can do is go here to insert and then tables, design table, Excel design table. So I'm going to click on that. I'll say yes, auto create. So a bunch of things that we're going to start doing right now. And I'm going to select the only ones that I want to bring in here is if you go all the way down, I just want to bring let's look for the loft. Where is our friend? The loft. Actually, let's bring all of them. It doesn't matter. Let's say, okay. I'm just gonna make this a little bigger. And the first thing I'm gonna start doing is copy pasting all of these guys. So I'll just do Control C and I'll create, I promise 6 configurations. I'm gonna create 6 more. 3. I'm gonna call this one C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6. And then just as usual, I'm gonna go to my very last column and I'm gonna type again $, value, or value in capital letters, at, so what were our equations? One of them was diameter. Add equations, good. Then the other one was length. I'm gonna use length, okay. $, value at length at equations. Good. I'm gonna exit for now, and there's gonna be a little sign that appears that says, yes, it created 6 configurations. That's very good. So now if I go to the configuration manager, I'm gonna go here to tables, right click on it, go to edit table, And now on the variable side, you see that hopefully those two columns will auto-populate. You'll see that. I'll say, okay, doesn't matter. There we go. And now that they are auto-populated, I'm gonna start maybe changing some of these values, right? Let's say that is 0.8, 0.9, 7, 8, 9. And now I'm gonna say that I want the length in here to be 3, here to be 4, 3, and 4. Good. And I'm gonna exit. Now, here's where I need you guys to pay a lot of attention, because I want, if I go now to C1, right? You see that C1 should be identical to the default. It takes a while to load, especially because of the wrap. Let's give it a second. But in essence, what we're gonna do is that I want C4 through C6 to be the Phillips head instead of the flat head. So now if I go, let me just see C2, right? How this should change just by a little bit. Let's see how the math works. Let's give it a second. Rebuild. Oh, I see that is. It was something about, I believe, the way I've done the lost. Oh, it's the freaking splines. I hate them. Oh, it's fine. I guess I'm gonna, if you want, for the purposes of the loft and select I'm gonna go back to my, if you go to the default, go back to default if you want. I don't know why I made you do that, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You see, splines are not defined, right? And you remember how the very first day I told you that you have to define stuff, like at the very beginning. I mean, it's important. You cannot define splines. That's like a quality of the thing. The reality is that the reason why defining stuff is important is because of this. If you want to make this sort of magic. So I'm just back in the default. So I'm gonna go to our friendly loft, and all I'm gonna change from here is that I'm gonna unselect. I'm just gonna clear. So I'll just make the loft without the guiding splines. Not a problem. And then I'll just hide that sketch. It's okay. At least you guys got an idea of how you would do it nicer. Anyway, so now if I go back to our friend configuration 2, this guy should actually work now. If not, I'd be very sad. So let's see. I think it should. Give it a second while it's rebuilding itself. No, you're not working. So what is sketch 9? Overly fine. Oh, right. Yeah, but I don't care about sketch 9 because it's that spline. So maybe what I can do is, anyway, as you can see, there's a lot of debugging, right, that one has to do. So I'm just gonna get rid of sketch 9. There you go. Disappear. Good. Anyways, what I mean to say is that now go to configuration 4, right? The ones where we wouldn't want the Phillips screw head with this flat head. So what I'm gonna do, hopefully once C4 appears, is that I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna do this in C4, C5, and C6. But I'm gonna right click on the loft and I'm gonna suppress. And I'm gonna do the same thing in C5. And I'm gonna suppress it in just a second. So let's wait for a moment. So now I'm at C5 and I'm gonna suppress. Very good. And now I'm at C6 and I'm gonna suppress. And you'll see how all of the, and then I'm gonna go back to the design tables and you'll see how all of this works out in a moment. Let's wait. There we go. This one is a tall one. I'm gonna suppress. Very good. So now let's go to design tables. I can edit the table, and now it's gonna most likely give me the choice to import one thing that's called state. And it's very good. So I'm gonna import this one, and it's a $symbol state at loft2. So what does this mean? Let's take a look at that variable. It means that loft2 on configurations 4 through 6 is suppressed. And in fact, I can write in here U for unsuppressed. Very nice. So that's just something like pretty cool, right? So if I were to go now to C3, and you can believe me that like the math works, you'll see that that one actually does have the flat head. So hopefully in the time that it takes me for all of this stuff to load, you're able to finish your lofts. Yeah, so now if I go to C3, you see that it should have the head appearing in there. Uh, that's the only downside, as you can see, that going between configurations when you do a big wrap like that takes a while. But there we go. Look, we have the head. So that at least what I'm saying is working out. So now let's go to C4, which is where we'll have the Phillips. So let's design another type of head. So I'm gonna go here to features, and we have our friend the plane 2. So I'm gonna still recycle that plane. And I'm gonna do a sketch now. And instead, what I'm gonna do is a little circle right here, and I'm gonna make the size of this circle be 0.03. Yeah, that seems right. I'm gonna click escape. I'm gonna exit my sketch. And now what we can do is a loft that goes between there and there. Good. So now we have ourselves a little, actually, I'm gonna edit that loft for a second. That doesn't look very nice. I want this to look like a cone. And I'm gonna make the loft be obviously aluminum. I want this to be aluminum. So now we have ourselves a cone, and I'm gonna go here to sketch. I'm gonna do a sketch here on the top face. And what I'm gonna start doing is I can do a little. I'm gonna do two rectangles like this, and then I'm gonna right click on them. I'm gonna make those two equal. And I'm gonna make this side and that side equal as well. Then I can right click like that and make that a construction geometry. And I can make that 0.015. And this length, it really doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, 0.4. Sure. So now I'm gonna make a line that comes like this, goes like that, and I'm gonna click on this line, control that line. I'm gonna make that collinear. Actually, I think that almost that's the trick. I'm gonna make these two collinear as well. Nice. So now I can go here and make this 0.15. It really doesn't matter. Same thing here. Make that 0.15. And I can just close this as if it was a triangle. And now what we can do is a cut that goes maybe a little bit more, let's say 0.3 or what. Very nice. And now what we can do is go to our friend the circular pattern and choose for direction this face, and for features that cut extrude. And I wanna make 4 because a Phillips head is 4. Very nice. And then since we're here, I can fillet some of that stuff, actually chamfer. Let's see. It wouldn't allow me. Let's see if I can chamfer. Yeah, I'm just playing around to see. I just want to improve the appearance. Actually, that could do the trick. Yeah. Still has that face, but I think that looks fine. So we got ourselves a decent. In fact, I'm gonna leave it black because I like how it looks like that way. So we got a decent Phillips screw head in there. Good. So now let's go back to there, Excel design tables. I'm gonna say edit table, and it's gonna now allow me to bring back the state. So the state that I'm gonna select is that node is gonna appear in here in a second. What I want to bring is loft free. Loft free is, I guess, all I would need in this case, if I'm not mistaken. Good. So now we got loft free. So I'm gonna say that cancel. I do not. Oh, I should actually have brought all of the other ones too. It's fine. That works. Let me see if I go back to loft free, cut, extrude, circular pattern. Maybe I should write all of those again, but I don't know. Let's see what happens if I go to C5. If I forgot, yeah, so it only brings back that one. So let's go back here. Let me go here back to edit table. Let's see if it gives me the choice. No. So normally what I would do in a case like this one is I would save this piece. I'll save it as screw driver. But I already have a version that I did earlier. Because this is because I'm lazy, right? Because I believe that if I close the document and I open it again, which is exactly what I'm gonna do right now, okay. Cancel. It will allow me to import the variables like nicely. So I'm gonna do that again. And once I do that, I'll start going around and I help all of you guys again. So just get to this 1 second. Here are the screwdrivers. Good. And now I'm gonna go back to the table, say design table, edit table. So let's see if it allows me to bring back a couple of the variables. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna bring that bad boy. I'm gonna bring that. I'm gonna bring that. That should be fine. I'll say okay. Go there, and I'm gonna copy all of those U's. I'm gonna say Control C. There, good, good. Like that. It works. So now if I go to C5, it should have the Phillips. Very good. Nice. And if I go to C3, flat scale. There we go. So there you go. You created 6 configurations. Then you can get a little bit more creative, like in my example where I gave it like a head like this one that was also like tilted a little bit more. We could try doing that today, or we could do the helicopter as well in the last remaining 20 minutes. Your guys' choice. But I'll go around. Just one last thing I do that way I can finish the recording here is in C3. I guess we're not gonna have time because we only have 13 more minutes, so I'd rather answer more questions. But I want to make yet one more configuration where the thing is looking, it's like going upwards instead. So one way to do that one is if I'm gonna go here to well, C3, and I'm gonna get rid of this. So I'll just suppress that. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Very good. So now if I go back to where are my features? Over here. So I'm gonna go here to our plane, that one that chops it in half. So I'm gonna do a sketch. And my sketch is gonna look in the following way. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna convert entities, this face in there. That way I can have a line. And then all I'm gonna do is a center line that goes like this, and then like this, and then we'll continue like this. And the reason why I'm making that is because well, I can make a line that goes control. I can make those two tangent. And I can make this and that also tangent. So now this is I'm gonna sweep. Well, I'm not gonna sweep it. I'm just gonna make it follow this profile. Yeah, so I can dimension this to be like 0.3, maybe that to be 0.1, that to be 0.6. I'm gonna say exit. Very good. So now the next thing I can do is I can go here to features, reference geometry plane, and click on that point and click on that line. So now I can do here sketch right on the top plane. And I can make a little, I can make like a spatula, something like that. It looks like this. We can make it interesting design, right? Like a very custom made tool. And that will make it 0.01. I'll say exit. And this one, since this is the only configuration, right, that will have this particular head, I'm gonna try making some guiding curves, right? So again, in that plane, I'll do a sketch. And what I'm gonna do is a spline that goes all the way like that. Like this, I'm gonna click escape and click on this point, control that. I can say pierce. There we go. Okay, make spline like that. And I click exit. And then I'm gonna do yet another sketch on the right plane. And I'm gonna make a little spline that goes all the like this. I click a random point, and then I can click on this point, control there, and I'll make that pierce. There we go. So now I'm just gonna play around, modifying a little bit the spline curves. Oh, well, yeah, that looks reasonable. Maybe I bring that. Maybe I can bring it there, and I can right click on the spline, and I can do add insert splines point. So I can create another spline point in there, so I can bring that one. So this can, yeah, it can have like a nice, interesting shape like that, right? So now, what I could do is say, we're gonna go here to features and loft. So I can click in this face. I can click in there. And then what I can say is I want centerline parameters. I want that to be the centerline parameter. And then for guiding curves, I choose that. And I'm gonna choose that. So it makes like a nice looking spatula shape. Oh, let me self-intersecting geometry. Why are you saying that? Let me see if I delete this center line. Or that work? Oh, yeah, that one worked. I think I can figure it out afterwards. I wanna hide these for now. Actually, let me see if I were to edit this thing, if I could add that in there, would it still create a self-intersecting geometry? Yeah. I'll just use a centerline parameter, which is mostly fine. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it like that, and then I can change the appearance in here. Go to love, make it like metal. Let's see, aluminum. And just as usual, right? Yeah, that looks decent, right? It's a different type of tool, we can call it. But then we go back here to tables, edit table, and now it's gonna ask me to import the state of that loft, right? So I'm gonna select this one from the box. Yes, it is this loft in particular. I'll say okay. And yes, it is only configuration C3, the one that is over there, the one that has that as an unsuppressed, right? That's the only one. I'm gonna say okay. And now if I were to go to C4, you see how, again, it brings the Phillips screwdriver. If I go to C2, it should bring the flat head again. But let's wait 1 second until that happens. takes patience, right, to do all of this stuff. There we go. So let's do a helicopter, right? And I mean, the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna do a sketch. Actually, before, I guess this is a question that we can all work out together. I can go here to File, Insert, actually File, Tools, Equations. So again, Tools, Equations. I'm gonna start creating equations, right? So I wanna make a model helicopter. What are the thing, interesting things that could be variables? Number of rotors, yes, number of rotors. That's one definitely. What's another one? Blades. Yeah, like number of rotors. Actually, yes, so number of rotors and blades, yes. I want to have those two. Another one, I'm gonna say like the length of the tail, maybe something like that. So use those three variables. So let's create those two. So I'll call it number of rotors as one, and I'll say for now I'll start with three. Then number of blades, and I'll also start with three. And then tail length, and I'll say five. And I'll say, okay, so and to create the equations, I went up there to tools and equations. And you can see that I created those. So try creating those and say, okay, good. So let's jump straight into it. So I'm gonna go here to sketch, front plane. And I'm gonna more or less define the overall helicopter size. I'll design a bunch of center lines like this. And don't worry, eventually we're gonna scale it up appropriately, but I'm just here playing around a little bit with the size. Try doing something that looks more or less the shape, I guess. But make it your own too. Don't be shy to get creative. Set the line. There goes like that. So this is gonna be like the cockpit. So we're gonna, as you probably guess it from doing this, we're gonna do a loft at some point to design this helicopter. So you'll see exactly how that's gonna look like in just a second. So maybe I'm gonna make this length. I'm gonna make this one, not that one. Why not, right? Don't worry too much about the dimensions. These are all, I suppose, like relative. Oh, and I'm gonna make this line and that line being tangent. So you can either a helicopter or like a Shinkansen, because it looks a little bit also like the front of a bullet train here. And then we can do another. Working on the bottom. And I make this and that tangent. That would be interesting. Um, I'll just make it equal size. I'm just playing around with the shape, honestly. You see, I'm more of an airplane kind of person. I don't normally design helicopters nor drones. So this where maybe someone with more experience might be more qualified than me to design them. That was approximately fine. Okay. And then I guess so this is like the cabin. I'm gonna define. Do. And I'm gonna escape, exit. Yes, you have more or less something that looks like the helicopter's cockpit, more or less like that. I'm happy with that. That's good. So now I'm gonna go here to features and create a bunch of planes. So the first plane I'm gonna create is right here. There we go. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a sketch on plane one. And what I wanna bring is, you know, here to convert entities, I'm gonna bring these lines here. So I think this is a useful exercise to define a shape that is somewhat curvy in nature, right? If you were to design this, in this case, the fuselage of a helicopter, you can make it a fuselage of an airplane. It's gonna be a very similar strategy to this one. And I'm gonna make these construction geometries. And now I'm gonna start drawing yet another spline. Draw it all the way. I'm gonna draw this spline all the way up to there. And I'm gonna make that line and this line be perpendicular. And then I'm gonna do a bunch of things. I'm gonna do a center line here. I'm gonna do like that. Oh, I should define that length to be, yeah, 0.2, it doesn't matter. All right, this line and that line. Let's make that tangent. It's gonna be a very, very sleek design, I guess. This one. Good. Control, make that tangent, and I'm gonna exit my sketch. Very good. Now I'm gonna do another sketch on plane one. And this one, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna convert entities, this guy and that guy. And then I'm gonna do a mirror of this line across this line over here. And this one, I'm gonna make it a construction geometry. So hopefully you start getting something that looks more or less like this. And I'm gonna exit my sketch. Well, actually, another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do another sketch on plane one. And I'm gonna create a bunch of center lines. So starting in here, I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. I'm gonna exit. Actually, I'm gonna make all of those center lines be equal length. I'm gonna click in this, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make them equal. Excellent. So I'll stop in a moment. Once I'll show you what I'm gonna do in a second, but I can go here to features, then reference geometry, then plane, and just create a bunch of planes that cut that are at those reference points. So it's that one. I believe it's that one. That one. Yeah, they're about similar, and then sketch. Oh, there we go. And I'm gonna go to plane one and hide that one because I don't need it. So here's where the fun starts. Let me first hide all of these planes. And then I can click on plane two and say, I wanna make a sketch. And for now, just grab your spline and do a spline, like a random spline, it doesn't matter, and make it 4 points like I'm doing it right now, right? So in one of the points, click Control and click like that and make and pierce it. Then click on the other point, click on that line, pierce, click on this point, click on that line, pierce, click on this point, click on that line, oh, click on this point, click on that line, and pierce. So now I fully define that spline. It looks like a pretty nice egg shape, I guess, in there. So it's essentially 4 point. It's a spline that is a random spline with 4 points. I'm gonna do it again in the next plane, and I'm just piercing in all the curves. Let's do it again. So now let me do plane free. So sketch. I don't know, plane free was that far back, but I'm gonna do again 4 spline points. Random, it doesn't matter. So I can click on this point, control that line, pierce, point, control line, pierce, point, control line, pierce, and then point, control line, and pierce. There we go. So now we have that other shape. I'm gonna click exit. So we got that one. Let's see. We did that one, we did that one. Now we need to do plane 4. So let's do a sketch. I'm gonna go here to spline. Again, 4 points spline. Good. Control, pierce, point and line, pierce, point and line, pierce, then point and line, pierce. You see, it's fully defining itself, and I'm constraining all of the points. Excellent. Now, plane 5, let's do a sketch. As you can see, I'm building this wireframe, and it's looking pretty nice so far, right? All of this stuff. I know this is not really meant. This was not part of the course plan for today's session, but it's good review from last week. Point and control there, pierce it, then point and control there, pierce, point and control, pierce, and then point and control, pierce. Very nice. Exit. And now we're left with plane 6. One last sketch. Now we're gonna do right there. So this one is easy because it's just connecting all of those points. Very nice. Then one last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna edit this sketch. And actually, this line in here, I'm gonna make it a construction geometry because I actually do need it to be a construction geometry. In fact, I'm gonna make all of these lines construction geometries, and I'm gonna leave this one as the only solid line. And you'll see why in a moment I'm making this. So let's leave it as that. I'm gonna say exit. Good. And now another plane. I'll go here to sketch, and I'm gonna do convert entities of this. I'll say okay. Good. Say exit. Very nice. So now, are we ready for the action? What we're gonna do is a loft. So we go here to features, loft, and I choose each one of these eggs. Very good. And now for our guiding curves, I'm gonna choose that one in there, that one in here, this one, and the one I just created, which is that one. But that looks decent. It creates that line. I think it's due to uh, I think it's fine. Maybe I'm gonna hold on, let me delete it for a second. I'm gonna do it again. There, I'm gonna just choose. Oh, yeah, make this line. That way, like where these green dots appear, that's where I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not an expert in like the SolidWorks math, right? But I think that's where the line that I created would appear. At least it's gonna be more stylistic this way. And now for guiding curves, I'm gonna choose all of them again. No, I was wrong. Actually, it does appear there. It's fine. I guess we can know about it. Anyways, so now, which one was the sketch? I'm gonna show that one. I'm gonna show that one, and I'm gonna show this one. So why am I doing this? Because now we need to finish the, I guess, the nose of this thing, right? I believe what's playing was I'm gonna go here to sketch, and the first thing I might do is a line. It goes like that, and I'm gonna click on the line, click on there, and I'm gonna going there. I'm gonna pierce, and then point and line. I'm gonna pierce. There was. So now I got a line that is right in there. Then what I can do is convert entities this stuff and say, okay, and then go to trim entities, trim to closest, and I'm gonna get rid of those two. That way I have that little area over there. I say exit, good. So now I can go to this plane, sketch, and what I'm gonna do is convert entities this, very nice. And then I can do a line that goes all the way to the top like that. And then again, trim to closest, and I get rid of that. And then this line, I'll make it construction. I'll say exit. So now what I can do is go here to features, then loft. Oh, actually, I'm not done. I'm not done because I need to go here to sketch, sketch. I need to do a sketch in this phase. And now I need to do yet one more line that is like this, and then convert entities the egg. There we go, and then go here to trim to closest, and I'm gonna get rid of this bottom side. That way I'm left with this face. Now, yes, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a loft that goes from sketch 11 to sketch 13. Or maybe, is it closed? Let me just, oh, maybe, let me see. I need to convert entities, this one. Hmm. Oh, I do not know why that happened, but I think now it should work. So loft, I'm gonna start from, I guess, 13, go to 11. I'm gonna move the green dots upwards that way it works. And then guiding curves, I'm gonna choose 12. And now I need to just move the, oh, why isn't it working now? Maybe it's not touching, I think. Mhm. I can also try as guiding curves using like this. Ah, but it's not gonna, you just 11. Oh, let's see whether this works now. Let's go here. Oh, there we go. That's good. Okay. I guess it wasn't coincident. And now just to wrap this up, I can do the same thing there in the bottom. So hopefully, and then once I'm done with this, I'll help you guys going around. Yes, I know this is challenging, but it's starting to look not even as a helicopter. It looks like the beak of an eagle, I would say, if you wanna call it like that. So now I'm gonna do another sketch. I'm gonna convert entities. This one. What I want to do is center line from here all the way there. Trim that. Good. And now features loft face to face and choose this sketch. And I'm gonna hide. Oh, it looks like it's smiling in there. So I'm just gonna save this thing. I call it a helicopter. Oi. Let me share my screen again. I'm sorry. There we go. I can start going around. Maybe because it's in the interest of time, I'm not really sure we can spend easily 1 hour getting to this point. So I think instead I'm gonna just create a new part. And I'm gonna do a simpler version of the helicopter. I think, and then you can watch the video. And I'm gonna make another video tonight as an extension of this one, finishing my version. So let's do an easier version. Let's draw this one. Let's do a sketch, and let's do a parallelogram. I'm gonna click in here. I'm gonna click in there. I'll make those two parallel. Those two are already parallel, and make the height of this be 2. I'll make that be also 2. And I'll make that be 1.5. Oh, actually I can't. I will need to make that 1.5. And I'm gonna make this angle be 40. 50, let's see. Exit. Well, again, I'm gonna extrude this by maybe 2. Just one thing is that since I'm starting a new part, I need to create again the equations, right? So I think it's a good exercise. I go back here to tools, equations, and the variables that we had was number of rotors was 1. I'll make it 3. Then number of blades also 3. And then here tail length. I'll make that 5. So the one like so this part, the one that you were working on right now, just save it and you can continue it on your free time. Now we're just gonna go for the parallelogram approach, which is this one. You just create a parallelogram that looks like that, create the variables. And then one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a plane that is between these two. And I'm gonna convert entities. Well, first I'm gonna start the sketch. There we go. Convert it. I wanna bring this line over here. Very good. And I'm gonna do a line that goes all the way like that. And I'm gonna make this line be equal to, let's just say equal to global variables tail length. Then as for the height, I can say that I want that to be at 1.15. That'll make it, there we go. Time by a little bit. 0.2. I created a plane that is in between the two sides of the parallelogram. To do that, I went to features, I went to reference geometry, I clicked on plane, and I selected one side, I selected the other one, and that's how plane one came to be. And I'm gonna create yet another plane on this point and on that line. And what I wanna do is go here to sketch, and I'll do, I guess, a little circle there. Yeah, 0.25, it's fine. And I'm gonna make this go all the way up to vertex, up to that point. And just for fun, what I can do is I can go here to, actually, I wanna show this line. I can do another sketch in here where it's another line that goes maybe from, let me convert entities this, make a construction geometry. And I'm gonna make a center line that goes maybe like this. That way the tail is like a truss. I can click on this point, control that, make that pierce. Ah, there's a coincident. There we go. I can make the distance from here to here be, yeah, 1.5, it doesn't matter. Distance from here to here be 125. Exit. And now what I can do is go here to the feature, reference geometry plane, put a little plane over there. Actually, before I do, I'm going to Control C. I'm gonna go back to this line. And I'm actually gonna extend it a little bit more. You'll see why in a moment. But I'm gonna click on that one, click in there, and I'll say collinear. And I'll make that length be some random length, maybe 0.2. And now this is gonna work. Because now, yes, I can go here to features, then reference geometry plane, point and line, then click in there, then sketch. Right? I say that is 0.15. And then I can say, all right, up to vertex. I'm gonna make it up to there. And now yes, I'm gonna hide a couple of these things. Actually, that plane I'll still do it again. I should try getting to this point at least. We'll call it the simplified helicopter, this one. Although we'll make it look nice too. It's gonna be like a nice model. Now, one other thing that we could do since we reached this point is go to sketch. And you can go convert entities. Now I'm gonna extrude upwards by like 0.1. And I'm gonna do it by 20 degrees. Maybe more. Let's do. Oh, nice. That looks nice. And then what I can do is go here to sketch. And then I can do a little circle in here. That's gonna act as our hub for some interesting stuff. I make that 0.2. Maybe I'm gonna, there, 30 degrees. Maybe you wanna be, well, I'll leave it here, I'll leave it here. That's good. So now I'm just gonna start adding, just for fun, right? I'm not doing anything interesting, just adding more details to, well, first I could start by filleting some of these things. So I could, yeah, I could do that one, I could do that one. I could fillet. Or like this. Now I can go here to sketch, and I can say offset entities. Actually, offset entities, all of this stuff inwards by that amount. That's good. And then I can do a bunch of fillets like that. Extrude inwards by 0.1. Oh, now this is actually gonna look a lot nicer than I thought this helicopter was gonna be. That's good. And I'm gonna do the same thing right here. Offset entities inwards. Fillet. And I'm gonna mirror along which phase is gonna be plane one. And features, I'm gonna mirror this stuff. Very good. I'm gonna leave it. And then, yeah, so try getting to a point that is more or less like this one. I'll give you guys 5 more minutes. And then one thing I'll say is if we go back here, now we can start doing a bunch of interesting details to our helicopter. For instance, what I can do is in plane one, which is the one that traverses this, I could do a sketch. And then my pipe, I believe, was that one. This sketch 4, no, I want number 2. I'm gonna show it for a second. Now what I can do is I can do like a little line, like control, and I make that coincident. Coincident. And I'm gonna go here, center line from here to there. Boom. Yeah, 0.15 is fine. Then the distance from here to here, 0.75. And this helicopter is gonna have itself a tail. I'm gonna make like that. That's fine. Wait. 100. I'm gonna make a little circumference. There goes. Oh, nice. This is gonna be sleek. Now what I can do is extrude in both directions by 0.05. Now we created ourselves a nice little tail. Then another thing that you can do is go here to sketch, And I'm gonna draw here a center line, that face, and I'm gonna give this tail, it's gonna be a T-tail. What a T-tail means is that it's, and I'm not an airfoil designer either, so I'm just gonna imagine stuff right now. This is actually not correct what I'm doing, aerodynamically speaking, despite that my department is this one, but you guys can be imaginative, it's just a toy. We can find that distance here to be 75, it doesn't matter. Uy. I'm not sure how big they're supposed to be fair. So I'm just gonna go 4.7. That looks decent. And I can do a mirror along plane one. It's just a mirror this one. And then just to wrap this up, I can fill it. That's by 0.1, let's see. Right, so try doing the tail now. Actually, what we can do is, if you're very courageous, you can even go here and draw a little center line. And then, yeah, smart dimension, it doesn't matter. 0.1. I can go here to text and write like your favorite number, right? And my case, one of my favorite numbers is 6. I can write a massive 6. See how big that would be. And I can just extrude it by a very tiny amount. Well, we can say that this is helicopter number 6, right? We've designed 5 more before. So you can have it like that. All right, so what I'm gonna start doing now is, now we're gonna start setting the space for, we're gonna make a crazy looking helicopter from now. So what I'm gonna start doing is, I'm gonna go here to sketch, and I'm gonna define, first I'm gonna do a center line that is right here. I'm starting in this face, and then I'm gonna do a massive circle. I just wanna know that is this size, and I'm gonna make it a construction geometry. And I'll make the size, actually, if that's 9 global variables, tail length, and I'm gonna say tail length times, sorry for that, let me share my screen again. I'll say tail length times 1.5. Or maybe tail length times 1.2. There we go, and I'm gonna say, okay. So the reason why I'm doing this is because now I'm gonna create a center line that goes from here to, it doesn't matter where, I can do it like that. And then I'm gonna create a slot. So you guys remember how one of our variables was the number of rotors? Well, this is gonna be one of the number of rotors per se. So I'm gonna create like this. So this is not a blade. This is just, you'll see in a moment what all of this means in a second. I'll make that 0.3, it doesn't matter. And then I can extrude upwards by, say, 0.1. And just to make this design look cool, what I can do is go here to sketch. Go here to and do actually let me see here. Oh, it goes to equal. And I'm gonna make another slot in here. Like 0.1. And then I'm gonna make a little rectangle in here that's gonna be 0.3. And I'm gonna extrude downwards that one and that one by 0.1. Oh, it's just I don't know. We can leave it like that. It doesn't matter. It's okay. And now that we're at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here to sketch, and now right around here, center line. Oy, make that 0.6. It doesn't matter. And I'm gonna make this go up by I don't know 0.1, and then down by 0.3. And then I'm gonna do another sketch in here. So this is where I guess the engines would be. You'll see in a moment. Convert entities. There, maybe 40 degrees as well. And I can feel it. Then I can go here to sketch. And I'm gonna do just one last 8.45. All right, so try getting a geometry that looks more or less like this now. Just a little stick that is going outwards. Just need to make sure. Yeah, I think this might work. I'll post the video afterwards. Because why am I doing this? Just to give you a preview. Eventually, we're gonna do a circular pattern of this stick going outwards. So now we're just working on this stick, and eventually on that stick, we'll put like 3 blades coming off from it. That way it's gonna be like a multi-blade. It's gonna be like a helicopter and a drone, married together. So hopefully in the next 20 minutes, we'll be done with that. It doesn't need to be, I'm just making it look fancy. Use your imagination. Ooh, you're making it look. Actually, one last thing that is just to make it look extra fancy. I'm just gonna do a quick sketch. Let's see, on plane 1, where I'm gonna convert entities this line. You guys don't need to do it, just this is just me for fun. But I'm gonna do a hemisphere. I can say this and that. I wanna make them tangent. There we go. And then I can do a quick, not revolve cut, a quick revolve base around here. Actually, no, that is. I'm gonna make that construction geometry, because really what I need is this one. There we go. Nice. So now I can do a revolve around there. That way it's like fully covered like that. I'm gonna save this one just in case as helicopter 2. That way we'll have a couple of helicopter models. Probably once you reach this point, don't worry too much about the details in here. Now, here's where I need you to pay attention for just a second, right? This might be a little bit of an involved thing. So I'm gonna do a sketch in here. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little, I guess it's like a little circle like this. So here's a rotor itself. So I'm gonna make that 0.3. Doesn't matter, right? And I'll make this go up by 0.2. And now I'm gonna create a plane that is between this face and that face in there. So it's a plane that is between those two. And I'll say, okay. And then I'm gonna do a sketch in that very plane. And I'm gonna convert entities, this thing. Make a construction geometry. The next thing I'm gonna do is another circle. It's gonna be now the size of our rotor. So maybe, something like that is fine. I'm gonna make that be maybe, let's see, 3. I'm gonna make that, there we go. I'm gonna make this a construction geometry. And then I'm gonna make a center line that goes all the way here to there. Very good. And I'll exit. So now that I have this done, I'm gonna go here to features, reference geometry plane. I'm gonna click on that point. I'm gonna click on that line and I'll hit OK. And what I'm gonna do is a sketch on now this plane 6. And I'm gonna first with some center lines, I'm gonna make them diagonally. Like you can see right there. Then I'm gonna draw one that goes upwards. Just do have it. No. There we go. One. I click on these two lines. I'll make them equal. Then I'm gonna make that angle be 60 degrees seems fine. And then I'll make that distance be 0.15. I think that should work. And then just as usual, 2 hemispheres to replicate like an airfoil geometry. And now what I'll do is I'm gonna extrude this stuff in here all the way up to vertex, and I'm gonna choose that point in there. Good. So now I have one of the airfoils designed for a little helicopter. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna hide that. And now just to finish this up, I'm gonna go here to sketch. And then I'll do I'm gonna convert entities, this bad boy. Then I'm gonna offset this one by 0.05 or whichever distance that you want. And now I'm gonna extrude upwards that by 0.2, I think 0.1 in that one direction, and in the other direction, 0.1 as well. And I'm gonna hide that sketch there. Not the sketch here. And now, as you would expect it, I'm gonna go here to circular pattern. For direction, I'm gonna choose that circle in the, actually, on direction is gonna be this circle. And then for features, I'm gonna choose this bad boy. And then instead of 5, I'm gonna say global variables, number of blades. There you go. So that's how you would create one of the blades very easily. So I'll let you guys try that. Actually, one last thing that we can do is to reach this point, right, which is very important. Now, the next thing that you could do is yet another circular pattern. So this circular pattern, the direction is going to be, I guess, this circle. And now for features, I'm going to start selecting everything that I just did. So I think I'm starting at that boss extrude. I'm going to select all of these guys. And then for that, I'm going to say equal to global variables, number of rotors. Ah, it's an interesting looking helicopter for sure. But the magic happens in the sense that if I go now to equations, manage equations, right? And instead of number of rotors, I put here 4. And then in number of blades, there you go. It changed to 4. And now if I go to equations, manage equation, and I change the number of blades to 5, they also change to 5. We've done it all properly. So this is actually, if you guys are advanced with, eVTOLs, like these air taxis, right? That there's lots of companies that are developing these days. Many models, they kind of look like this. So maybe the future of intercity transportation could look something like an air taxi along these lines. And this concept, it looks a little bit weird, but it's based on, I mean, this is just a side note, I would imagine. It's called distributed propulsion, in a sense that you're just, instead of having a singular rotor rotating a lot, you just have 4 of them distributing the propulsion, and it can have lots of energetic savings, especially because this will be like an electric powered helicopter. And just one last thing I'm gonna do just before, because just to illustrate, that way I can just finish the recording, is once you reach a point like this one, right? We don't need to finish here, in the sense that now we can do the usual stuff. So as a review, you go here to insert, and then tables, Excel design table, right? And I can say, okay. And I'm gonna select, I'm gonna bring in all of the dimensions. So it's gonna propose me, and I'm gonna say, okay, boom, bring all of that stuff. That's fine. I'm gonna make this bad boy much bigger. And I'm gonna select all of these guys. In here, I'm gonna say Control C, and then Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. I'm gonna call this C1, C2, C3, and C4. And now what I can start putting around in here, just going, I can write, at least you guys will have it here in the video, $ value at number of blades at equations. Now $ value at a number of rotors at equations. And then in here I can do $ value at what was the other one? Tail length at equations. Boom, I'm gonna exit this. It's gonna tell me, right, you created 4 different configurations that are called C1. Oh, it should have been values, you're right. Let me go back there. Let me edit the table one moment. Fine, I'm sorry. Yes, I know. I'm gonna change it to just value. You see how a little syntax error it starts complaining? So now, let's see. Let me edit the table again. So hopefully all of those three should update themselves. Actually, they didn't. That's fine. Let me see if I can. There we go. So Control C. Oh, and I create my configurations. C1, C3, and C4. Now, yes, I created all four of them. Now let me edit the table again. So let's see, did it, okay, it filled up, it populated all of these fields. All right, the number of blades, I'm gonna make this one be 3, this one be 6, that one be 4. The number of rotors, I'm gonna try pushing it to 5 in this case, 3 in this case, 2 in this case. Equal sign, there we go. And then tail length, I'll make it 6. I'll make it 2. I'll make that 3. Let's see. Okay, so now if I go to C4, how will this look like? Oh, well, I guess I need to maybe work around the math. You see, not always it looks like expected, but this could be an interesting configuration. Then you have C3. It's 5 of, ooh, this one is starting to look fancy. And here then C2, you have it like that, just 5 rotor blades, longer tail, and then C1, just 3, very close to each other. Just like that, it's like a very tiny helicopter. All right, so just one last thing, just to give you an idea of what's coming up afterwards, and I'll share my screen in a second again. So you can look up, let me just go here. So I did the screwdrivers there in the website. Feel free to take a look if you want. I did do a drone, which is looks just like that. So you can also explore that in the website. Obviously, office hours this week, and this is what's happening on Wednesday, where we're gonna do a mannequin, and I can show you how that model looks like afterwards if you want. Alrighty, hi folks again. We're back. I decided to stop previously during the class on doing this version of the helicopter. I mean, this might be very interesting. I'm not gonna give it a lot of details, but I just wanna continue, I guess, a little bit of the modeling on this side. And it shouldn't take that much time just to make a relatively short video, I hope. But I guess let's see where we were standing, which was right over there. So I'm gonna show that sketch. So I'm gonna continue making maybe an extrusion of this. I'm gonna continue it all the way up to here, and then we'll figure out where we'll take it from there. We'll make it a nice looking helicopter. I'm not gonna be narrating all of these things, but I'll just, at least you'll be able to see how I'm working through my thought process.